everything you guys have given us, like it really is, like, thank you for this program. Like I know everybody says thank you, but actually, like, from somebody who you just heard how it changed my life, like I'm literally like at a point now where I never thought I would be. And it's all because I really truly believe that it's all because I found this program and I like learned these techniques that work for me now. So thank you.
I can't cry today. I don't want to, but thank you.
I cry all the time. It's fine.
All right. I think we're recording. What's up, guys? It's Jenna here, the founder of Fill Your Books, and I am here with one of our amazing students, Sarah. I've been trying to wrangle her on one of these interviews for the past few months. I'm so excited we could get her on here to share a little bit of her story and some of the amazing success that she's had so far. So start off, tell us a little bit about you. When did you get started with hair and how did you get started in the industry?
Okay, so I've been doing hair for like 5 years now. And I come from a really small town. There's like 50 hairdressers and like
where are you from again? What town do you live in?
Wilson, North Carolina. So gotcha. It's about an hour east of Raleigh.
Gotcha. Okay.
So but I've always wanted to do hair. When I was 5, I actually, for one of my birthdays, my mom's really good friend was a hairdresser. And she got me all of the stuff to roll perms, except for the chemicals, obviously, because I was 5. But I used to sit in my room and on my Barbie heads, I would roll perms. And then amazing. I would be like, look at me, I'm a hairdresser. So that's like what I used to do. So always like was playing with someone's hair. And I actually, when I graduated high school, I actually went to a 4-year college for a year and a half because I was like, all of my friends were doing it. So I was like, that's what I need to do.
It's very hard to pick a different path at that age and time in your life. I totally understand that.
Yes, exactly. And so I got about a year and a half in and I hated it. And I was actually, this is like the funniest thing when I tell people this, they're like, what? I was running a little like secret underground hair salon out of my dorm room. So people would give me money ahead of time and I would go to the local beauty store and I would buy color and I had like a pair of shears and everything. And they would come to my room and I would just do their hair. So they didn't have to go to a salon. And that was how I was making money in college. And which very illegal, by the way, like not right, but I never got found out. But I remember like one night my friend came in and I was like, oh, I just failed another test, but I don't really care because I don't want to do this. And she was like,
I got paid this week too.
Yeah. She was like, well, what do you want to do? And I was like, well, I want to do hair, but you know, there's this like stigma around like dropping out of college to do something, you know, like that. And so
beauty school dropout kind of thing.
Exactly. And so she was like, just go do it. And I was like, you're right. So I actually packed up as much as I could fit in my little car at the time from my dorm. And I drove home and I sat down with my parents and I said, I don't want to go back to school. I want to do hair. Are you guys cool with this? And my dad will be a key factor in like everything, even like the, like how good my business is going now. Like he is my #1 supporter, him and my mom too. But he was like, okay, well, do you have a plan? Are you going to get a job before you go to hair salon? I was like, yeah, I'll save up money. And like, then I want to go. And he was like, okay, cool. We'll go back and get the rest of your stuff next weekend. And so they were super supportive of the idea, thankfully. But yeah, so then I went to Aveda. Our institute is in Chapel Hill. So it was about an hour and a half drive and I actually commuted it. Don't ask me how. I don't know.
Were you going full time too?
What?
Were you going full time to school too?
It was 3 days a week, but I actually added on a 4th day. So what I would do is I would just kind of couch surf.
Yeah.
Like, so I didn't have to drive as far.
I went to school with a girl who did that. We're still friends. She drove from like New York to New Jersey and was just like, I'm just staying with people.
Yeah, that was basically me. I was like, who can let me sleep on their floor this week?
Yeah.
Let's go. And so I graduated and I started off as a booth renter for a woman that I had known previously. And literally I can remember like I would go months without pay because I didn't have the tools to get people in my chair. And obviously like I didn't have word of mouth yet.
Right.
So it took me a good like year and a half of doing hair to actually start, I guess, making money doing hair and like kind of supporting myself. Again, my parents super supportive. They were like, hey, we'll give you money until you can do it. Like push, push, push. And I was working other jobs at the time too. It's kind of one of those things, you do what you got to do until you can get to where you want to be.
Right. And that's the thing, if you don't have like a trajectory, or like how once you had the support system, which we'll get into, that really expedited that journey, as opposed to waiting, say, a year and a half to build that clientele, you know?
Right, exactly. And so after the worst salon experience of my life, that is like a hour-long story in and of itself of how that like job ended and I got to where I am now. I was really like kind of down in the dumps about it, because I was like, I'm not growing my business. Like, that's the number one thing. And second of all, like, I had this horrible experience with my previous owner, and kind of the week before Christmas got kind of like, you don't have a job anymore. Completely out of my control. And so it was like, how do I do this? Like, how do I like go from here? And so I got into the salon that I'm in now with the best owner in the world, and like super supportive and everything. And it kind of like reignited my fire, because I was like, no, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
And so I spent 2019 kind of like looking for like, what was that like missing factor that like I needed. And how I actually found Fill Your Books was because I had been looking, and I guess like, you know, Facebook like targeted ads and stuff. Targeted ads, what we talk about. But I saw like one of y'all's ads, and I remember like I showed it to my dad too, and I was like, I think I really want to do this. And he was like, I mean, it's an investment in you. It's an investment in your career. Like, you know, get the money together.
Love Dad. Your dad's great.
Girl, he really is. He's the best. Like I said, he comes in multiple times in my story, because he's always like pushing me to be better and better and better. Because he really does. Like, he'll call me sometimes and he'll be like, I just saw this really cool TikTok, and I want you to do an ad and like use this wording, because I thought it would be really cool. Like, he did one for Valentine's Day, and it was so great. I was like, way to go, Dad. Thank you for the idea. But yeah, I found you guys, and I think I found it in like September, and I kind of put it off at first, and I was like, I don't know, because you know, there's always that skeptic. Because I've done this.
I think I saw because I just went through and like double checked your like all your posts, and I believe your icebreaker post you made in October of 2019.
Yes, I was gonna say, I think October was when I finally bit the bullet, and I was like, look, I'm doing this, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it makes the money that I spent on it back, I'll be happy. That was like really my only thing. I was like, I just want this to be it. And so I kind of went through the program. I went through it like at a slower pace, because that's just how I learn well personally. And so I kind of went through it as like, okay, like I did each of the lessons, and then I could show you the notebook. I took so many notes for every single video. Yeah, I would sit at work when I didn't have a client, and I would put my headphones in with my phone, and I'd set it up, and I'd play the videos, and I'd just like sit there and do it.
Yeah.
And just like anybody else, I think I ran my first ad in like for New Year's. Like, it was like end of December, like beginning of January. And I was like, let's just see what happens. And you know, a lot of people have this struggle. I didn't get a lot of responses, because it was my first ad ever, and I think like you kind of need to like work through that boundary of Facebook being like, is this real?
Yeah.
But I did get a few clients, and I was like, oh my God, that paid for itself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, that paid for itself. So I was like, okay, wait, this could work. Let me just like keep pushing. And then obviously the world shut down, and we were closed in where I'm at in North Carolina for 2 months exactly, actually. And I mean, really, I didn't do much during that time. I would post on my social medias, just because I had recently gotten another job through the hair color company that we use. I'm actually at Innovative Salon now.
Oh,
and I became an ambassador for them. So I was doing stuff with that too.
Yeah.
During my lockdown. So I was like, I don't know. We'll see what happens. And then we came back from lockdown, and it exploded. I really pushed into like doing ads and posting every day and doing the organic marketing and like stuff like that, and like really putting myself out there, because I was like, it kind of put a fire in me, because I was like, this job, they've just told me I'm not essential in a way. That's what it felt like. And so I was like, the only person who's going to really push myself out there and get myself to where I want to be is me. I can't rely on other people or, you know, other things. And so like I said, I started posting ads, and then I started being booked out. And I was like, this has never happened before. I was like, I've never been like far booked out that I have to like tell, like I turned an ad off because I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like I have too many people on the books.
That's the best news ever. I love to hear that.
It was literally such a good feeling, and I was so proud of myself. But I really wasn't looking at my numbers as closely, because I was like, I don't want to like get discouraged if they're lower than I think they are. But like I did notice my paychecks were being like doubled. Right. And I was like, that's weird. That's not normal. Yeah. But okay, like whatever. Like I'm happy I'm making more money now.
Yeah.
And I was able to start paying things off. And I was like, I don't know how this is happening, but like I'm not gonna like question it. I'm just gonna say yes, I'm making more money. I'm like doing more clients. That's great. Yeah. And
also let me add to this, were you doing clients that like you were enjoying the services? Like were you doing the things that you wanted to be doing behind the chair?
Yes, 100%. I started to have clients come in from the ads too, that I was like, I'm forming relationships with them that like I've been forming with my clients that I've like had 4 or 5 years, you know what I'm saying? Like who have been with me since the beginning. And I was able to kind of how you guys talk about like picking your dream client. I was able to start choosing my dream clients and being like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And
no, that's amazing.
That was also like a turning point for me, because I was like, before, you know, anything that wanted to sit in my chair, any kind of service that wanted to be in my chair, I was like, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah.
You know, and so that was all going on. And that's when kind of towards the end of 2020, I, you know, looked at my stats and everything through our booking software, and I was like, I doubled from 2019. And then I was like, I doubled 2019 and took 2 months off this year.
I was gonna say, I was like, also during a global pandemic, let's add.
Exactly. I was like, this shouldn't have happened, but okay. And again, I showed my dad, and he was like, oh my gosh. He was like, that thing's paid itself off like the first month. And I was like, yeah, it did. I was like, it was worth it, you know? And so just like seeing those numbers was probably like the most encouraging thing like in the world, because I think like in 2020 hairstylists did, I mean, everybody, don't get me wrong, everybody kind of felt the pressure and the bad and everything like that. But to see that like I did overcome a goal that I didn't even think I could reach. Like I was literally like, oh, if I make like a couple extra $1,000 this year, that would be really great. And now I'm like tripling my stuff, and I'm like, what? And so January, I noticed that I did a lot of money, and I was like, I wonder what I did last January, because I knew, you know, I doubled from 2019. So I was like, well, let me just check and see. And that's when I saw that I'd tripled it. And when I actually called my dad and I said, guess how much I made in 2020 versus 2021? And he was like, well, I know how much you made in January 2020 because we went over it. And I was like, yeah. And I said, guess how much in 2021? And he like threw a number out there. He was like, oh, did you double it again? And I was like, no, I tripled it. I was like, and you know, I told him, I was like, January every single year is my least busy month. For whatever reason, it's just, I can look at it over the years, least busy month. To triple what I made last year in my normally least busy month, I was like, I'm putting 30 ads out today. I was like, this works, you know? I mean, it's just, the proof is in the pudding almost.
Yeah.
Like, I can't deny that, like, this program has really been the setting off point, because, like I said, I've been doing this for years. Like, if it was me, I probably would have been able to do it my first year, my second year doing hair. But to know, like, that once I started this program, it really was the thing that set me off and kind of shot it to the moon.
I mean,
almost.
the sky is the limit for you now. Like it really is, like, you know, we're slowly opening back up. You have all your tools in your tool belt now, which is amazing. And that's one thing that I really want to point out, is that you now have these tools forever. Like they're yours. You are now in the driver's seat, as we like to say. Like we handed you the keys, you got right in, and you freaking drove the car. And it's so crazy for me still to this day. I mean, how long we've been doing this, 2.5 years, 3 years. These stories, I'm still just like, like it's just so amazing, because we really can change an industry with these type of results, and just having people like you who are able to take those tools and run with them. And I think that's a big thing, is being able to teach yourself. This is teaching yourself a skill that you can have for the rest of your career. No matter what happens, you know that you're like, okay, I do have the power. I know the ball's in my court when it comes to clients. No more sitting and waiting for a client to walk through the door. You can be proactive. And that's the thing. I feel like most hairstylists, we are proactive, kind of self-start type of people. And I think that this gives us the opportunity to be able to not only have control of like our behind the chair things, because, you know, we're people who like to seek out education, but we can now get business for ourselves, which I think is absolutely amazing. So would you say that the information inside of the Inner Circle is easy to understand? Like you don't have to be like a tech wizard to run your ads. What do you think about that whole thing?
I definitely think it's easy to understand. Me personally, I am pretty techie, but like that side of things, I had no clue how to do at all. When I signed up for it and you guys were talking about ads, I actually thought you just meant like when you boost a post.
Yep. And which a lot of people do think.
I was like, I've done that before and that's never worked. I don't know what they're talking about. So then when I like understood like what you were talking about, now I will say that like the first few times I was setting up ad, I did like have the video playing beside me and like kind of like followed along. But I don't know if that's just a me thing or if it's like actually like, I don't think it's hard to understand as much as like I did like take the guidance as I went through.
Yeah.
But once you get it, I feel like you got it.
Yeah, exactly.
It used to take me like 20-30 minutes to set up an ad just because I was so like, let me click play on the video.
Sure everything's right. Yeah.
Exactly. But now I can set up an ad that gets me 10 responses in the first 2 days in 5 or 10 minutes. So it's really, I can set it up while someone's processing to make more money. And that's kind of the good part to me. Cause I'm like, this is working for me when I'm like making money myself over here. That's making me money on the side. And like, you know, to have clients who will wait for me, like I'll tell them, I'm like, I don't have a Saturday until May. And they're like, okay, put me on the books. And I'm like, okay,
all right. Sure. Like, I'll wait for you too. And I just want to clarify, you are in a commission Aveda salon right now, currently?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something really important to point out, because, you know, I think some commission stylists might see our program and be like, oh, like that's just for independent stylists, but it's not. I created this when I was a commission stylist, and we're here to show you to do whatever works best for you, your lifestyle. And if like, as long as you're in a good environment, like we talked about in the beginning, you're in a healthy, happy environment, you can absolutely thrive no matter what type of stylist you are. So I think that's really, really great as well.
Exactly. Cause I mean, I definitely think that like, I think that you're right about how like some commission stylists can see it that way. Cause I think there was like a small little bit of me in my mind that was like, does this work for commission? Like, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. But it really has. And, you know, the environment that I'm in now, like you said, like it works for my lifestyle and it works for, you know, for me right now, this is like where I need to be. And it can work for anybody who wants to work with it. You know what I'm saying? That's the best way to put it. If you are ready to like you said, like take the keys and, you know, drive the car and like really do I want to say even the small amount of work that it takes to put in, you really just have to like dedicate yourself to like learning the material and like doing that small, it can work for anybody.
And I think that's really where people get tripped up is like, our big thing is we know fluff. And you said you took your time to get through everything, but we are very to the point with our education. You don't get a crap ton of worksheets and stuff. Like, we have all the tools that you need, but we don't give you a bunch of extra things to do. It's really just small steps that you have to be very consistent and diligent with, and you can take off. There's no, if I was sitting here telling people like, this will give you, like, this is the magic bullet, this will work immediately, that is not the case. No one has a magic bullet. This is just the tools and systems that we know work. You're proof that they work. And as long as whoever's watching this, if you're willing to put in that work, then the sky's the limit. As you can see, you can go and triple your income during a pandemic.
Exactly. It works, believe me.
And I want to make sure, would you recommend Fill Your Books to a friend, a fellow stylist? What would you tell someone thinking about joining?
First of all, yes, and I have. Like, I tell all of my hairstylist friends about it. I'm like, guys, no, you don't get it. It works. But I would tell anybody, especially somebody who was in my position, just bite the bullet and do it. Like, get the money together and do it, because I promise you, like, all the doubts that you have in your head about like the little things, like me, I was in a small town and I was like, how do I target ads towards a small town? Like, people, like, we don't have a Sephora here. We don't have like stuff like that here, like, but you'll find what works through troubleshooting.
Yeah.
And once you do, it's going to change your entire career. It's going to change the game. So if you're really like, all the little doubts in your head really just kind of like slip away really easily once you start doing it. So yes, I would recommend it to anybody, even the seasoned stylist. Like, it doesn't matter how many years you've been doing hair, like, this has the power to literally change your life, because it changed mine,
Changed mine too. So we're just out here changing stylists' lives. I love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. If you're watching this, I hope to see you inside of the group. Sarah and I will be there to support you. If you have any questions, please head over to fillyourbooks.com and schedule a strategy call with us. We'll see you guys soon.